That's why he is coming up with this. That's why he is coming up with this again and again and again. Why he is coming up with this again and again and again? What should I do? That's all. It all boils down to talk to any person. They will tell you for 45 minutes they give you a response. After that 45th minute, 46th minute they will say, I really don't know what I should do. But why did you speak for? But then, why did you give an eloquent lecture for 45 minutes? All the time you are giving us lectures. No, sometimes you also listen to the lecture. The question is always what? What should I do? What should I do? For there is a lot of affinity to doing, lot of affection to doing, lot of interest in doing. Why there is this lot of affinity, affection, interest in doing? For acquisitions can happen only through doing. Only if you do something, you can acquire. If you are not doing anything, there is no acquisition. So, the person who is interested in doing is the one who is interested in acquiring. The basis of action is acquisition. The root of action is acquisition. Sankhya says, moksha is not an acquisition because you are that already. Knowledge says, liberation is not an acquisition. Self-realization is not an acquisition, for you are that already. At the very first point itself we disconnected. At the starting point itself we are disconnected from the knowledge, because carefully follow. Any acquisition brings about an excitement. If it is yours already, there is no excitement. So, anything that is acquired brings about an excitement. Like, take a simple example. You have X amount of bank balance. Someone withdraws and comes and gives that money to you. Is there any excitement in that? Why? It's already yours. Additional or 10,000 போட்டு கொடுத்தா? So that excitement comes from where? That excitement comes from that acquisition. So if a person has to be motivated to action, if a person has to be inspired to action, you have to give them something which will make them believe or feel that they have acquired. Even in a classroom like this, if a new person walks in, what an excitement. What an excitement if a new person walks in. Why? Another new? Otherwise, same face we are watching for 20-30 years, it's the same face. No. Why? For it all boils down to acquisition. Acquisition springs from a sense of unfulfillment. What is it that is driving the acquisition? the sense of unfulfillment is that which drives the acquisition. And that sense of unfulfillment, actually it's almost like a craving, obsession to acquire. Every human being has a craving, obsession for acquiring. Why? The unfulfillment is so, the unfulfillment is so deep, the unfulfillment is so powerful that whatsoever you fill it with, it still remains empty. Mullah Nasruddin found a begging bowl, and his begging bowl became the talk of the town. Everyone was talking about that begging bowl. For anything that is put inside that bowl, it disappears and it remains empty. Anything that is put inside that bowl disappears and it is empty. So everyone asking him, where is it going? Where is it going? Mullah Nasruddin also kept on saying, I am also trying to find out where is it going. I also don't know. And people thought he has come up with some mystical powers now. Somewhere he is taking everything. So the king found out, the king heard about the story, and he called Mullah Nasruddin and he said, what kind of a power is it that whatsoever is put in that bowl, you are making it to disappear? What power you have? Mullah said, I don't have any power. Something is there in that bowl. What material it is made with? What material with which you made this bowl? He said, I also don't know what material with which it is made, but I am sure it has to be a human skull. Why? I found it in the graveyard. It has to be a human skull. That's why anything you put inside, anything that goes inside, it disappears, and what remains? The unfulfillment remains. Sankhya says the unfulfillment itself is imaginary. Action says do something and fill the void. That's why a human being all that time is so concerned about doing. Understanding and all is all right only for this 1 hour. Rest of the time the human being is concerned only about doing. Such a feverishness about doing. Why? For every doing brings in a hope of acquisition. You are acquiring something. The acquisition can be material, the acquisition can be emotional, the acquisition can be information, but nevertheless, it has to be a acquisition. Acquisition means it's not yours. Sorry. Acquisition means it's not yours. Something you have to do to make it yours. That's acquisition. It's not yours. What is that technique by which you can make it yours? This is called acquisition. The process with which you are trying to acquire is called action. The process by which you are trying to acquire is called action. One kind of acquisition, material. Another kind of acquisition is emotion. Even in a classroom like this, supposing started by saying Tattvamasi, that the what? You are the self. You are the self. After third minute, what happens? Something new has to be given, so that you go back saying, today I acquired maybe a new story, maybe a new line, maybe something, but then nevertheless that excitement comes from where? Excitement comes from that which is acquired. Acquired means it's not yours, something you have to do to make it yours. The second thing about action is having developed the craving for acquisition, possessiveness over what one has acquired. So one type of action is craving for acquisition. Continuity of it is possessive over what you have acquired. For lot of hard work has gone behind to acquire this, and you can't start all over again. Therefore, whatsoever you got, turn possessive. First is to acquire, second is to possess. All this is done through action. All this is done through action. Arjuna also wanted to acquire the kingdom. He wanted to do this action of battlefield, the war. Now he wants to acquire something else, as a result of which he wants to leave this action and take up. Wanting to fight is one kind of action. Wanting to run away is also another kind of action. When he wanted to fight, he wanted to acquire something. When he wanted to run away, again he wants to acquire something else. But nevertheless, he is not going to achieve anything or learn anything. Where he completely misunderstood the nature of action. And you can't escape Krishna's penetrative look. He has such a deep penetrative look. You can't. Arjuna couldn't escape. Instead of saying, I am confused, he is saying, you are confusing me. Instead of saying, I am confused, you are confusing me with your perplexing speech. Discourses are always perplexing only. Tell me with certainty. Can anything be told with certainty? Even if something is told with certainty, will your doubts go away? Your doubt still remains the same. Like 72 verses with Sankhya, he has spoken with highest certainty. After listening to that certainty, he is asking, tell me with certainty. Tell me with certainty. What is the certainty that Arjuna is looking for? Here comes the second thing about action. We always have a need to justify our actions. We have a necessity to justify our actions. We have a need to justify our actions. If you get angry, you have to justify your anger. And you have to give some reason to say how it is the right thing to do. If you have decided to steal, you have to pretend that stealing is the right thing to do. If you have decided to get angry, you have to pretend that anger is the right thing. For the human being has the need to justify the actions. Justify the actions. All justification boils down to what? I am right. All justifications boil down to I am right. If you say someone is right, they are in agreement with you in some area. They have agreed with you in some area. Therefore you say, he's right. Very difficult is to escape. Very difficult is to escape these clutches. Very difficult is to escape from this. Number 3, about action. This I started last week itself. Is truth of life acquired through knowledge or action? Fundamental question. Is the truth of life attained through knowledge or is the truth of life attained through action? If it can be attained through action, you are not having it today, maybe with a little bit of effort, you will get it tomorrow. What is the truth of life? Truth of life, na liberation. Self-realization. God, that is the truth of life. But adallam we are not. Adallam appuram paakalam sir na, you have no choice. You have to sit and listen to it for 1 hour. You have a choice not to come. Having come here, you have to listen. What is that? What is the truth of life? The truth of life is moksha, liberation. Is it attained through knowledge or is it attained through action? If it can be attained through action, you don't have it today, maybe with a little bit of more effort, you can attain it tomorrow. If it can be attained through action, if you stop acting, you will lose it. For anything that is the product of action has to be sustained through action. Otherwise you will lose it. Even the top class player also has to go for practice every day. He can't say, I have reached the top, I don't need to practice. Straight away I can come into the match. So anything that is attained through action, you will lose it if you stop acting. Therefore, like coming to the top is difficult, and then maintaining that position is more difficult. So much more effort is. So liberation itself is very difficult, and then to maintain the state of liberation requires much more effort. Action has this built-in fallacies. Action has its built-in difficulties. Sankhya says it is attained through knowledge and understanding. So far, so good. Fantastic to hear, excellent to hear, so far, so good. If the yoga type were to walk in here, that yoga type will say, how long you have been hearing all this? How long you have been listening to all this? Has it made any change? Has it brought about any thirst for moksha, any thirst for liberation? At the most, you have replaced the copper coin with silver coin. That's about it. But still the same. Therefore, understanding and all doesn't work. Get into action. சும்மா உட்காந்து பேசினே இருந்தா வேலைக்கு ஆகாதா? நான் சொல்றது. So get into action. And both are, you listen to both, you are so confused, you will not know which path to take. You will not know what path to take. This is Arjuna's problem. Are you able to understand his difficulty? Arjuna's problem is, having listened to both, he is not sure about which path to take. Now comes the psychological problem that Arjuna is having. Most human beings has this problem. The problem is this. At any point of time, you are not able to make a choice because what is it that makes a person unable to make a choice? What is it? Confusion. Which one gives you what you want? What is right but what is your like? Shankaracharya confuse ஆயிடும். Clarity இல்லாதனால. When you want both. ரமேஷ் கண்ணா கொடுத்த ஆன்சர் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்றதுக்கு இன்னொருத்தர் வரணும் இல்லையா? யூ நீட் an Upanishadic master to come and explain his answer. என்ன சொன்னாரு? மெரிட் ஆஃப் மெரிட் இன் ஆப்போசிட் தாட்டா? அப்பா, அதான் நிறைய இங்கிலீஷ் படம்லாம் பார்க்க கூடாது. இதுதான் இந்த ஜேம்ஸ் பாண்ட் படம்லாம் பார்த்தா இப்படிலாம் தான். At any point of time, a human being is not able to make a choice because both appears good. If both appears good, you will not know what to choose and what to leave. For you to make a choice, one must. Are you able to follow? One must appear good and one must appear. Then only choices can be made. If both appears good, you can never make a choice. Carefully follow. Whenever religion comes and says, all are good, all paths are good, everything takes you to the ultimate, human being stagnates and he remains exactly where he is. For he will not know what to choose, or whatsoever he chooses, he is half-hearted in that choice. Are you able to follow? Why a human being is not able to make a choice? For whatsoever you choose, the other also appears. The other also appears good. Carefully follow. Whatsoever you choose, you have to be convinced that's the right, that's the best, and stick to it. Then only there will be a then only you have exercised your choice, you can do something about it. If you say both are right, like the Upanishads gives this, it's like the man standing. A passerby is going, he is asking, which road takes me to the river? He says, both roads takes you to the river. He can never walk in any road. For if he takes that road, that road also takes to the same river. No, why not? Why not take this? Okay, he'll walk in this road for 3 steps. That road also takes. No, why not take that? Hodgepodge everywhere, patchwork everywhere. No. For he is so confused. This is the confusion. That's why all paths are right and all very nice to. It's a very good political statement. But in reality, there is only one path that is right for you. One path that is right for you, and you have to stick to that path. A person who is not having this clarity will always have this difficulty in making the choice. See, carefully follow this. Simple example I'll give you. A boy meets a girl, falls in love with the girl, and he says, you are the most beautiful girl. You are the most beautiful girl that I have ever seen or met. Has he seen all the beautiful women in the world to make that comparison? And yet, is he lying? And yet, is he lying? Something has made him to make that choice. Because of the choice that he has made, she is looking Is she beautiful because of the beauty, or is she beautiful because of the choice that he has already made? Go back and think. Choice already made. If all are beautiful, you give him that photograph of 10 girls and say the pros and cons of everything, and you make a choice, forever he will be debating. Forever he will be debating. Why? Why? For in order to execute a choice, you need to have a clear understanding. What is a clear understanding? One is right, the another is wrong. Arjuna is confused. He is not able to decide whether he has to take to Sankhya or he has to take to action. For both are appearing good. Why are you confusing me? Krishna is saying, where am I confusing? You are the one who is confused. Arjuna obviously didn't understand what is action and what is knowledge. And very fundamentally is to understand this difference. Why? Because this understanding is what is very important to make you do the right. Weigh the pros and cons. You try this. Tell anyone. This is the good side of it and this is the bad side of it. Expose them to both. That fellow will get. Has anyone ever made a choice like that? Or whatsoever choice he makes, will he be convinced about the choice that he makes? It's not that people are not making choices. They are not convinced about the choices that they make. Because of what? A fallacy in thinking. If all are right, there is nothing called as wrong. If you say all are right, what are you actually saying? There is nothing called as wrong. You can never execute any. You can never make any choice. So in order to make a choice, you need to have a clear understanding. What is a clear understanding? What is a clear understanding? What is the right understanding? That which takes you to your liberation is right for you, and you have to stick only to that and turn blind to the others. That's the way. You have to turn blind to the others. But the human ego, the human ignorance will not allow him to turn blind. It will say, take the best from everything. Take the best from everything. Best eyes, best nose, best face, best features. Put all that together. You will not get the beautiful. It will look uglier than a monkey. Take the best nose. Take the best eyes. Take the best ears. Take the best. That nose is appearing best because something else is not. Are you able to follow? For what a beautiful nose, something is not in comparison to something that is. Are you able to follow? Now take the best in everything and put it. What you will find? It will not inspire you. It will not motivate you. In fact, it will look very, very ugly. Arjuna is asking this question is because he is not able to make a choice that is going to lead him into an action. People are in that inactive state, tamasic state, because they are not able to get into an action, because unable to make a choice. Unable to make a choice. Dhritarashtra, Madhriyat. Dhritarashtra is, that story, Dhritarashtra is blind. And so wonderful is, like there are a few characters who are wonderful. And one such wonderful character is Dhritarashtra. And why I say he is so wonderful is because if you read that story, you know who all he took advice from? If you read that story, who all came to advise him? Who all he went and sought advice? Started from the Sanat Kumaras. Sanat Kumaras came and spoke to, if you know who Sanat Kumaras? Yeah, sorry, okay, na solradhu. Who all he sought advice from? Sanat Kumaras came and spoke. Sanat Kumaras are the direct disciples of Dakshinamurti, Adi Guru. What a great, extraordinary characters. Sanat Kumaras came and gave advice. Narada came and gave advice. Vyasa himself came and gave advice. Permanently, he kept Vidura next to him to give him the right advice. Where do you get a man like Bhishma to give advice? He goes to Bhishma also for advice. If all of them is not enough, Krishna comes, standing much, much taller than Burj Khalifa building mari pola irukku Krishna. All other taller building looks insignificant in front of this man. And he also gave. That's why he's blind. That's why he's called blind. Went back and did. After listening to the advices and wisdom of all put together, he went back and did exactly the opposite. So, if you stand in front of the mirror, you should see a shade of Dhritarashtra. You should see a shade of Dhritarashtra in you. At least I see so many times. For you go, take an advice and comes back and do. That's blinding. That's why he is called. It's not that biological blindness. Don't think about his biological blindness. Biological blindness doesn't mean anything. But he will do all that. And what is the end result of that way of living? What is the end result of that way of living? This is his life. This is the life of everyone. What is the end result of that way of living? What is the end result of that way of living? If you want to understand the end result of that way of living, read the 19th day. Read the 19th day. You will understand what life is. What is happening on the 19th day? What is happening on the 19th day? Not read. No, don't read that. For very scary it is. All the parents are sitting and doing ceremonies for their children. Can you conceive of that? Son doing ceremony to the father doesn't make, beyond a point, maybe the second day, third day, nothing there. The father sitting and doing ceremony for children. Meaning what? The possessor is there sitting in pain. The possessions gone. That is the end result of that way of life. The possessor is there. Who's the possessor? Dhritarashtra is there. All the parents are there. It's so true, why it is. All the parents are there. Who's not there? Sons are not there. Something you can learn from the 19th. 18 days onnu kandupidikkalana, learn something from the 19th day. Can you imagine that? Father doing See, it's not the literal thing. If you want to understand, you can understand it literally also. Doesn't make any difference. The possessor is sitting, the possessions are, the pain and agony of life is what? You are there, the possessor is there, but what is going? All the possessions are going, and you have to sit and watch it. They have to sit and watch them painfully leaving, and you can't do. That's the helplessness of. Here you understand the helplessness of action. Here you understand the futility of action. Are you able to follow? Not only that, individually everyone blamed Krishna for that. Individually everyone blamed Krishna for that. Gandhari said, Krishna, this condition is because of you. He's just standing there. Kunti came to him and said, this situation is because of you. Not a word. He stood there. Arjuna came to him and said, you know that, no? Arjuna came to him and said, the situation is because of you. Because Arjuna lost his prized son. He lost Abhimanyu. Bhima came and said, the situation is because of you. Because Bhima also lost his son, his prized son. He also lost. Ghatotkacha, he lost in the night. And Krishna called him and said, start the battle in the night. Who asked Ghatotkacha to do the battle in the night? See, that's why if you read that story, you can't worship Krishna after that. If you are worshipping Krishna now, you have not read him. You have not read him thoroughly. Who asked him to start the war in the night? He started the war in the night. Why? Because that's the only way Karna can use that weapon and kill Ghatotkacha. Draupadi came and said, we are in this situation because of you. Why did she say that? 18th day night, after the 18th day night, the evening, after Duryodhana's death, they thought the war is over, climax is over. They thought that. Everyone thought that. Not realizing the climax is going to start. Then only, James Bond movie madri adu. When you think the climax is over and you get up from the seat, the climax starts. No, so gripping it is. 18th day night, the climax started. Ashwatthama massacred the whole lot. And everyone collectively blamed, just as for whatever situation we are in, we blame the divine also. You can blame the other and you can blame the divine also. Krishna just stood there and his silence spoke something very eloquent. You are in this situation because of you two fellows unnecessarily fought over what is this Mahabharata war for? It's a petty dispute, property dispute. Correct? It's a petty property dispute between two cousins. That's all the war is. Big Mahabharata war, dharma. That war equalized and said everyone is suffering. Everyone is adharmic by nature. If Pandavas were good, why should they suffer? Kauravas were bad, their suffering is understandable. Pandavas supposed to be good. They are also in it equalizes. What is the equalizing factor? What is the equalizing factor? The possessor is there. The possession gone. Possession is there and possessor dying, it's okay. But life doesn't give you that luxury. The truth of life doesn't give you the luxury. You will be there, the possessor and the possessions just slips and you will not know. And you will not know what to do. In that confusion, he comes and asks, tell me with certainty. Tell me with certainty. Tell me with certainty as to what I should do. As though if Krishna says, his doubt is going to get vanished. And whether he means what he is asking or not, Krishna gives wonderful answers. Whether his question is half-hearted, whether his question may not be as serious as it appears to be, but Krishna doesn't leave anything. He takes up answers and goes as penetrative as possible. He goes. What is the answer that he gives? Verse number 3. Verse number 3.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha Lokesmin Vividha Nishtha Pura Prokta Mayanaga Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam Shri Bhagavanuvacha Lokesmin Vividha Nishtha Pura Prokta Mayanaga Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam.
The Blessed Lord said, in this world there is a twofold path. As I said before, O Anaga, the path of knowledge for the Sankhyas, contemplative, and the path of action for the yogis, active. There is a twofold path. Sankhya and yoga, meaning contemplative and active. There is a twofold path. One path contemplative, another path active. As I said before, where did he say that? It has been said for Praprokta. I have said this long back. Means it has been there from time immemorial. The knowledge of the Vedas, the knowledge of the Vedanta has been drilling this. What? There are twofold path, two paths, as it were. Contemplative and active. Why this twofold path? Because human beings is of these two nature. The contemplative and active. What should I choose? Sankhya or yoga? It would have been very easy if you had said, choose this. It would have been very easy. All that Arjuna is asking is what? What should I choose? I told you already, there are two paths in starting. He's starting all over again that story. How Arjuna had the patience to listen God only. Again he's starting all over again. The path of Sankhyas, the path of yogis. In this context, yogis means active, Sankhyas means contemplative. O Anaga, sinless Arjuna. You are a sinless man. Why are you talking like an agitated? Sin means agitations. There is a very subtle psychological suggestion here. You are a sinless man. You are a sinless man. And he just said it so. And he just said it so beautifully, so casually, but would have made a very deep impact in Arjuna. This is how the teacher impacts. Just a word here, just a word there, but it has in us it will not have an impact. But in the case of Arjuna, it would have had a very deep impact, as a result of which he is following. What all he is going to say, he is following. What does sinless means? A very powerful suggestion. And in life, we need suggestions like this to hold on to something. Like, it is very powerfully said that if you bathe in Ganges once, all your sins will be washed away. It's a very powerful suggestion. Therefore, what happens after dipping? What happens after dipping? What happens after dipping? If you have actually done this, if you have actually taken this suggestion powerfully, and if you do this, what will happen? Next time you will not commit a sin. For you know that you have become pure and you can't afford to commit another sin. What is purification? Awareness. You know that you are purified, and that itself brings in a lot of awareness, so that you will not, from next time you'll become very careful. That's where these kind of suggestions are so necessary to bring in that. Are you able to follow what I am saying? To bring in that awareness. See, a person who's thieving, a person who's stealing, you tell him powerfully that all your things are, all that you have done till now is excused. From now on, you are free. Next time, he will not be able to. One way is to say, don't steal, don't steal, don't steal. And if you keep telling him, don't steal, don't steal, don't steal, you don't know what you are doing. You are reminding him to steal. Don't steal, don't steal. You think you are telling him don't steal. But what is he? What is he reminded about? Wet paint, do not touch. Na? Are you able to follow? Wet paint, do not touch. Na? The nature is to touch. Clear as why are you doing it? Na? That's the nature of. That's the nature. And these masters are so extraordinary because they have understood the human nature. They have understood the human nature so well that they just give in subtle suggestions here, a suggestion there is enough. That's why he said, "Oh Anaga, sinless one. You are a sinless man, Arjuna. Why are you talking about Ghora Karma?" He's saying in the previous verse, Ghora Karma, terrible action I have to do. Why are you wanting me to do this terrible action? For if I do this terrible action, I'll be turned into a sinner. And you are asking me to turn into a sinner. He says, you are already. Look at the angle that he is talking and look at the angle which he is talking. And all that he is saying is, Chumma ore vartha he is saying, sinless Arjuna. That's all. You have to connect it to the previous verse. In the verse vandara, previous verse marandra. The previous verse he said, Ghora Karma. All that Arjuna said is, why do you want me to do this? Ghora Karma, terrible action. Terrible action means, I do this action, I'll be turned into a sinner. Krishna, at the end of your knowledge, All that you are asking me to do is to become a sinner, for which he removes that first. Very, this is the love and affection of, this is the love and affection of the master, the teacher. First he gently removes that. Sinless na abada. Now Arjuna is relieved. Now he is ready to listen. You are a sinner. Now listen to me. That I will help you to remove your sins. You will switch off. That's why pointing out the mistake first and then correcting, never. It has never worked. You can blow your lungs out screaming and shouting, and the other person will be stubborn. Why? It doesn't work like that. It works through a different method. What is the different method? That's why I gave this example. They also know that you bathe in the Ganges, you are exactly the same man. It's not, nothing has changed inside of you. It's not that they don't know. It's not that they are superstitious. Looks like it is superstition. If you understand it deeply, what are they trying? It brings an awareness. What is that awareness? You have become pure. Now don't do anything to become. Don't do anything to become impure. First thing he is saying is sinless Arjuna. He is removing him from that Gora karma. He is removing that mental block in him, as a result of which he is willing to listen. He is removing that mental block. These are all clear. That's why he says, you cannot get a better communicator than Krishna. To understand him himself is very difficult. And how he did all this originally, God only knows. Even to understand him is so difficult. First thing he does is remove that block, as a result of which he will be able to listen to him. Now what is he saying? In this world, there is a twofold path. I have said it already, Arjuna. Path of knowledge for the contemplative, path of action for the yogis. Yogis means the active. Who are the active? There are two classes of people. One class of people has a necessity, urge to be in action. They have to be in action for that restlessness inside. The vast majority belongs to this category. There is a restlessness inside which drives them to action. They may be jumping from one to the other, but nevertheless they have to be in action. These type who are driven into action because of the restlessness, they are called the active type. They are the yogis. For them, it is the path of action. The contemplative type gets into action because of obligations. Contemplative doesn't mean inactives. They also get into action, but they get into action out of an understanding, not out of that inner urge, that inner restlessness, that inner urge, that inner restlessness. For they have understood, action is not a mean, action is not a tool for acquisition, action is that which is meant for liberation. Action is meant for liberation. Are you able to follow now? One type, the vast majority, is having the necessity to get into action because of that The restlessness, the pressure of the desires. The pressure of the desires necessarily has to drive them to action. Another type is the Sankhya type. And what is the Sankhya type? The Sankhya type gets into, it's not the Sankhya type means they are all sitting still, not doing anything. If you understand it like that, again you have misunderstood Sankhya also. The Sankhya type gets into action, but what type of action they get into? What type of action? Obligatory actions. Obligatory actions. First, he talks about the Sankhya type way of doing actions, the intellectual appeal for action. That's what he's going to start. If you get into that explanation, you will understand this. You will understand what I am saying. First he goes on to explaining the Sankhya type of acting. What? Actions out of. If you can't do that, at least drop the fruit and act. Ideally, act like the Sankhya type. That's a way to act. If you can't act, nothing is lost. Start somewhere. And what is the starting point? At least drop the fruit. Dropping the fruit means dropping that wanting to acquire that. That's why I started by saying actions are driven by the urge for acquisition. You tell that man, drop that and act. Impossible for him to drop. How can he drop? And then he says, no, don't drop. At least while acting, why are you remembering that? But idu kuda kashtamā irukkude. Don't worry, another janma we will encounter again here. Again we will meet in another janma. You follow? One type of people who are known as active are those who get into action because of the inner restlessness. That is called the active type. For they are in necessity to act. How do you know that you are in that necessity to act? How do you know that? How do you know that you belong to that active type? How do you know that you belong to the active type? You choose to do an action and the thoughts will go all over the place except that you belong to the active type. That's how you understand. How do you understand that you belong to the active type or contemplative type? How do you know that you belong to the category of a yogi or you belong to the category of the Sankhya? How do you understand that? There are indicators. There are a few indicators. The first indicator is this. You decide on the course of action. The thoughts will go all over the place except the choice that you have made. It means what? It means there is a force in you which is more powerful than the choices that you make. Are you able to follow? Like, you make a choice to go for a movie and action. Mind goes all over the place except that movie. You decide to go to a temple, the thought goes all over the place except being in the temple. You choose to marry a person, the thoughts go all over except. Are you able to understand that? It means what? It means what? There is a force in you over which you have. There is a force in you over which you have no control. And it decides where you have to go instead of you deciding where to go. Sankhya type says, I decide where I have to go. The yogi type says, wherever it leads me, I am a helpless victim. Remember verse number 67. The wind carries the. He has already explained all that. Having explained all that, he is repeating the same thing. Puspusa vartha use panninu irukkarar. The concept is already said. As the wind carries the boat away. If a human, you means not you personally, Prabhakar. I am not meaning you as a person. If a human being is like that, he should understand he belongs to the active type and choose a way of action that will take him to liberation. The other category, Sankhya type. For all practical purposes, we need not discuss much about Sankhya type. We need not discuss much about the Sankhya type because your category first of all. He is saying therefore there has to be some category like that. Otherwise, the vast majority belongs to the category of the active type only. How do you understand that? That restlessness to act for acquisition. That's where the restlessness and acquisition is so interconnected. That the restlessness drives the action seeking acquisition. And what is the nature of that acquisition? Remember Mullah Nasruddin's bowl. Where it goes, God only knows, but it goes. Looks like it's empty, actually it's not empty. Looks like it's empty, it's not empty. It's filled with that craving. It's filled with that obsession. Looks like empty, but it's not empty. It is filled with that obsession. It is filled with that craving. Craving for what? For more. For more. A time comes where there is no gap at all. It's filled with that. It's filled with that. No gap at all. And then you ask divine to enter. Where is the space? Where is the space for the divine to enter? There is no space. For you are so filled with that acquisition and possessiveness. That possessiveness is what is known as mama, mine. That possessiveness is what is known as mama, mine. And he's going to talk about yajna karma, which says not mine. Beautiful is that development. It is filled with. What is it filled with? Filled with mama, mine. That's why there is no gap at all. So even if you have to say God, you have to say my God. For the God appears powerful because he is your God. The day he ceases to be your God, he will lose all powers. All powers. Therefore, who's giving power to God? God only knows. Whether God is powerful or you are giving power to God. Carefully follow. You will follow the Guru only when the Guru lives according to your conditions. Actually speaking, who is the Guru and who is the Sishya? Are you able to follow? Even if you have to follow a Guru, the Guru has to live life according to. So if I have to follow you, you have to follow me. Correct? All this is called active type. All this belong to the category of active type. Sankhya type he would have folded his mats, he would have said thank you and he would have left. He will not stand there asking. What should I do? The very fact that he is asking what should I do, he has to start all over again. You follow? Everywhere, any action, any association, any relationship has to be according to me. That's why elsewhere he says the disciple is Guru's Guru. The disciple is Guru's Guru. And the Guru also has to listen. Why? Because he also needs something. When he also needs something from you, he has to listen to you. When he says, I don't need anything from you, he has no problems. Are you able to follow? Somewhere down the line, actions, that restlessness creates a force in you to go on acquiring. For in acquisition only you can say mine. For in acquisition only you can say mine. Each and every brick in this house is my sweat, my hard work. I can't say this to my house, because if I look at my house, one brick Jayanti, one brick SRL Shankar, I don't even want to feel like, you don't even feel like living in that. Mine, you have to say what? It's all? It's called mamakara, the sense of mineness. The sense of mineness stems from a deep-rooted unfulfillment. For mineness gives a hope. That's all it is. The mineness gives a hope that you will find fulfillment. That mineness gives a hope. That's why Na Mama is very painful to an active type. Na Mama is so easy for the Sankhya type, Na Mama is so easy for he's already doing that. To say not mine is very difficult for an active type. Why? For his entire lifetime hard work is that one. And how can you say not mine? For a person who's of that type, you should understand that you belong to the category of active. Arjuna, there are two types only: the contemplative and the active. The active acts out of an inner restlessness, a craving, a thirst for acquisition. That craving, that thirst for acquisition is because it gives a hope. What is the hope? The hope of fulfillment. What is the fulfillment? At least my actions are useful to someone else, no sir? That's why yajna karma is so difficult. For it just try that. And if something happens, don't blame me. Disclaimer. Yeah. If something happens to you, I am not responsible. Try that. You don't have to elaborate ritual. Light a candle. Have a 10 rupee bundle. Take one note and burn it and see it. It turns into ashes. Take that and use that. Then you are doing yajna. The first thought is, nah sir, waste of poradilla. Okay, I don't need it, but at least it can be useful to someone else. No, you can't say without utility. You have to, action has to seek this utility. What is the utility? If it is not giving happiness to me, but at least let it give fulfillment, happiness to other. No. If it can't give happiness to you, what makes you to think it can give happiness to others? No, sir, not for me, but for others, sir. No, it's done only for, I don't want wealth, sir, for I have understood, it's not for, I only want it for my children, for I have understood, for they have not understood. If you have understood that it is harmful to you, what makes you to believe that it is going to be useful to them? If you think it is going to be useful to them, deep down you are thinking it's useful to you. Then you know you belong to the active type. Very depressing. Yeah, very depressing, but what to do now? Then you understand that you belong to the active type. Arjuna, very easy to understand this distinction, he said. For I have said it already. Sankhya type or yogi. Who's a yogi? This is the yogi. Who's the Sankhya type? This is the Sankhya type. There are two-fold path. He is not saying choose between the two. He is saying there are these two. There are these two. You follow? For actions stem from that inner restlessness. That inner restlessness drives something to acquire. And acquisition is of the hope to find fulfillment. And fulfillment is found only when you say mine. Only to get disappointed later. 19th day of the battlefield. So much of hard work you do to say mine, and you have to sit and do the funeral rites of yours. It's scary. But don't worry, we will not get scared and all, for we are so fear-proof we are. I don't know what kind of conviction is it? It's so scary. What is it? Whole lifetime you acquire, and then you only have to sit and watch it painfully slipping, only to sit in agony, and then blame the other. If you can't blame anyone, you will blame the divine. To summarize, very simple. Action is driven by that urge to. Action is driven by the urge to acquire. Urge to acquire means urge to possess. So action is always for possessing. அவ்வளவுதான். Possessing means saying mine. For if something is not yours now, you cannot act also. Something is not yours, you cannot act. Or if action has to be made, you have to be convinced what? It will be yours. Don't worry, it will be yours. Okay, not today, sir, but at least tomorrow it will be mine, no? Okay, if not tomorrow, someday in future, wholly it will be mine, no? Another way of acting. Active types functions like this. What is the way out for them? Active types live life like this. Now what is the way out for them? What is the path to liberation for them? He starts beautifully from verse number 4. The intellectual appeal for action. What is the path for them? And he comes up with this beautiful explanation of yajna karma. He comes up with this extraordinary idea about this yajna karma. Who has to do this? Identify whether you belong to the Sankhya type or the active type. How to find out? Some indicators. Any acquisition is motivating you, understand. You are belonging to you need to do right type of action. If any acquisition is going to excite you, you must understand that you need to do the right type of action. But not acquisition, sir, but new concept is exciting. Now you have to do the right type of action. For nothing new is said. That which has to be said is already, that all that has to be told is already said. It is just saying the same thing. Just saying the same thing again and again and again. But you are hearing something new because you are searching for something new. Acquisition. It's not that something new is said. See, no one can say anything new, for the best is already said. Tattvamasi, you are that already. It's said. That's it. What more can anyone say? But edo ninnu varam puspusa saying means you are still in that acquisition. You are still in that acquisition mode, looking for something new. You belong to the active type. And what is the path for the active type? He starts on. Okay.
போல பார்த்துட்டேன். நீங்கள் பண்ணிவிட்டோம்.